Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you 23 relatable and easy to understand chess tactical positions. Let's dive right into it. In this position, the bishop and the knight are aligned on the horizontal. Since the rook can move on the horizontal, with due calculation, if I put the rook on c7, the rook attacks the knight and the bishop at the same time. Black can only save one. In this position, queen moving to h8 is the best move at the moment. The queen pins the bishop to the king. The king is far away from defending that bishop. So if the king move, white can simply pick the bishop and white is winning from here. In this position, rook to h3 check is absolutely winning. The rook is defended by the pawn. After the king moves away, rook can pick the queen. In this position, there is bishop on b2 with an x-ray attack to the black king on g7. With a move like rook to a3, we open a discovered attack on the king. So black has no choice but to respond to this check. So if black moves the king to g8, rook can take the knight on a6. This wins material for white. In this position, there is queen with an extra attack to the king. What should we do? We need to find a move that attacks the king such that the king cannot escape. So, with my calculation, I can spot knight to f5 check. This move opens an attack from the queen on this file. With the knight standing here on f5, the knight covers d6 and still deliver a check. This is a strong tactical idea called double attack, which leads to double check. A check from the queen in this case and a check from the knight. This leads to checkmate. There is a beautiful tactical idea in this position after bishop to f6, leaving this queen for the queen to take. If black takes the queen on h5, we can start a windmill that might end up leading to checkmate. With rook takes the pawn on g7 check. The only square is king going inside to h8. It is possible to go with rook takes this pawn, we check. King would move and we continue that way till we take all the pieces. Let me show it to you. Rook moves, check to the king. The only square is king coming back here. Check, king goes in. We take the bishop, check again from the bishop here. King moves. We come back with a check. King moves. Then we come down so we can take this particular queen. However, this last move leads to checkmate. Perhaps, since we want to aim to win the game as fast as possible, going through those long variation or that particular long variation doesn't matter because we have a win shorter by rook to g4. This is an instant checkmate. So this is a checkmate. You may choose to also put the rook here on g4. It's also a checkmate. This is a tactical idea you should study. In this position, the rook and this rook are well connected. We can disconnect this relationship by playing knight to c6 check. So if the king moves, white can simply pick up this rook. In this position, the black king is out of number of escape squares. If the white king can land on f5, we can have a checkmate. However, there is a bishop defending that particular square. So, a tactical idea known as removing the defender can happen after bishop takes the pawn on b7. This is a sign of attraction also, because we want to attract and deflect the bishop to this side. So if bishop takes the bishop, then queen to f5 is checkmate. However, if black feel resistant not to take the bishop and play something else, let's say for example he plays maybe the bishop to this square, still defending here, white can just go ahead to pick up the rook. In this case, we can apply a tactical idea known as deflection. In turn, it can lead to removing the defender. This is simply understood by following this example. The king defends the rook such that if rook takes the rook, then king will take that white rook. However, to gain the rook, we can sacrifice the bishop by taking this pawn on h7 with check. King has to move somewhere or capture the bishop. So if king takes the bishop, we can now pick up the rook. It is white to play. This is part of an advanced tactics. In this position, we want to make a checkmate. However, we need to put the king somewhere here by playing a sacrificial move, queen to f8. If king goes here, then queen to g7 is mate. So after queen to f8 check, if king takes, rook goes to the back rank to make a check. King is out of escape squares. So if rook to d8 to block the check, rook takes rook is checkmate. In this position, there is a weakness in the back rank, especially on e8 square. So we can simply sacrifice the queen on e8. Rook takes the rook is a back rank checkmate. This is quite a strong endgame example which you must take note of. The rook on c8 is doing a very good job. The rook pins the bishop to the king at the moment. White wants to make a checkmate, but how? In this position, do not remove the rook from the 8th rank. We can simply place the rook either on d8 or somewhere here, just along that particular 8th rank. So let's choose to put the rook on d8. The king, the black king, is on zuzwang. The black king has to make a move, and that move leads to disadvantage for black. So king to h8 enables white plays rook takes the bishop to deliver checkmate. In this position, we can simply apply an intermediate move such that if we sacrifice the knight by taking this pawn, if rook takes, we have gotten a pawn actually. This is also a kind of tactical idea. Then we are still going for this pawn here. However, if black says he wants to take the rook first, then another intermediate move, knight takes the pawn on c5 will check to the king. If king to d6, going after the knight, knight to b7 check. We do not forget that the rook here is still hanging. So if king to d7, rook takes the rook on g1, secures materials for white. If you observe clearly, it seems as if black wants to trade queen here. White won't allow this. With a simple understanding, we can win this game from here. In this position, rook takes the knight is simply winning. The knight was a defender of this particular square, preventing the queen from taking this pawn and making checkmate. So with a first move like rook takes the knight, giving check to the king, black has no choice but to respond to this by rook taking the rook. So queen takes pawn, gives the checkmate. The queen is well defended by the bishop on d4. This is an understanding that you must have as a chess player. You have the ability to make checkmate and also the ability to make stalemate. So how can we get to recognize stalemate ideas? This is one example that gives you a clue. In this position is white to play. White is down with 2 pawns. Black has advantage by having these 2 pawns. Then rook coming down to c1 is a very strong threat of checkmate. How do we prevent this? The white king is out of numbers of free squares. This is one sign that you should take note when playing your games, and if you get into such positions, try to trade the last available piece and make yourself not be in check to get stalemate. So this is what I simply mean. Rook to a7 is check to the king, right? The king has nowhere to go but b3. In this position, the king is not in check and has no legal free squares to go to. This is what you should do. Give black this rook. If black takes, this game is a draw. If black feel resistant and go for rook to g8, follow up with rook to g7. At the end of the day, black is going to offer draw here because it's going to end up in threefold repetition. Then the game is a draw. In this position, it is white to play. What tactics can we use here? This tactic is advanced for beginner. However, it's part of an idea you should learn when trying to make stalemate against your opponent. In this position, rook takes the pawn on h7 is the first correct move. We want to make a draw. So, king takes the rook, queen to h5 check, king to g8, queen to g6 check, king to h8, queen to h6 check, king to g8, queen to g6 check, king to h8, queen to h6 check, king to g8. This is more than a threefold repetition, and the game can end in a draw. The question you want to ask is, why will white want to make a draw? Basically, for beginners, material is a sign that you can either win or lose the game. So, at some times, you will notice that you have the material advantage. So, the assurance of winning is certain. However, with what I can see on the screen, look at black has 2 strong rooks. So, if equating queen to queen, bishop to bishop, knight to knight, one rook to the other rook, black has an extra rook to fight in this game. So white may see a reason to say, let me fight for a draw and not lose the game outrightly. This is part of an advanced tactical example in this beginner series. In this position, it is white to play and win. The first move to spot is rook to the back rank with check. This is logical. However, I'm not going to explain this in deep, but show it to you. If rook takes, we do not take with the pawn right away because the pawn can be captured by the king. So, we play an attraction move, which is queen to h7 check. In this position, if the king comes down, then a discovered check comes up from this queen, and we also make a queen. So if king takes the king instead, then pawn takes the rook to become a knight. Knight attacks the king and the queen at the same time. If the king moves, knight takes the queen. In this one example, we made use of more than one tactics. Can you name them? Drop your answer in the comment section. In this position, we can simply play on the intelligence of discovered attack by playing knight to e8, opening a discovered check from this queen. In this position, if the king moves here, we can also sacrifice the queen. King will take, rook takes the bishop, leads to checkmate. However, if knight takes the queen right away, then rook takes the bishop is simply checkmate. What kind of tactics was used here? This is quite straightforward. Sacrifice your piece by taking a piece, lure the king to a particular square, and create another tactical idea which we are going to implement. So, this is the concept in this position. Take the knight, king takes, knight to e4, attacks both the king and the rook. Rook to f8 check is a way to go here. Check this out. If bishop takes, then queen storm to the back rank on g8 to make checkmate. So, if black takes with the rook, we can simply play queen to the back rank, defended by the bishop, so only the rook can take. The knight to f7 is checkmate. Is smoothed mate. In this position, if king takes the knight right away, then bishop takes the knight. This equates material. However, we want to sort for an advantage. So, let's lure the bishop to b4 by playing b4. If bishop goes away, we can simply capture the knight. This is winning an extra piece for white. So if bishop takes the pawn, we can simply play knight to c2. The knight attacks the bishop, the king attacks the knight. After bishop takes the knight on b6, pawn takes on b6. f4 is crushing. From the beginning, noticing how the knight was trapped. So, we can learn from this example by first calculating before making the move. The knight in the center is out of numbers of squares. The knight here cannot go to any square. So we first make a clearance, removing this knight. Then we play this. f4. So, the question is, what is the best move in this position? Guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, do not forget to subscribe to this channel for more, like this video and share it to your friends. I have a membership on this channel. Feel free to join my membership classes and grow your chess. See you in next video on this channel. Bye for now.